Hello there, welcome back to the Smell of Logic channel. I am Ramona. We are reading Reddit stories, because that's what we always do. What is the strangest experience you have had while meditating? I don't necessarily meditate, but there are people who do, and there's supposedly benefits for it. So let's find out what some of them are. Before we get started, though, if you like this video or any of my other videos, would you contemplate leaving a like, or maybe a comment, or subscribing to the channel, or maybe even sharing one of these videos with somebody you think they might, enjoy it. Who knows? But here we go. Ready? What is the strangest experience you've had while meditating? I have had many fascinating experiences, visions, and sensations over the years, but one comes to mind right now. I used the Loads of Karma technique by Diane Stein, and I can't remember the exact exercise I was doing. I was sitting behind my computer with my eyes closed. Suddenly, I saw my room in my mind's eyes if my eyes were open, but I observed everything through a thin veil. I looked at my keyboard, and there was a bee sitting on it. I watched the bee for a bit and then opened my eyes. Another instance, I stood in front of a window with my eyes closed, and I meditated in front of the window. I had no idea why. Again, I saw everything as if my eyes were open. Outside, in my backyard, many animals stood and stared at me. Once again, I stared back at them for a while, then opened my eyes. Both of those experiences left me with a sense of peace and joy. Just good, peace and joy is awesome. Interesting experiences. Nothing like that for me, but once I had this clear felt sense that time and space were an illusion of the mind. I was sitting in a timeless and spaceless world where things looked the same, but nothing was the same. Another time I felt like I finally was experiencing what meditation is about, the complete acceptance of everything that is, and the accompanying feeling that life was effortlessly flowing through me, except there was no real me, just consciousness of what it is. There is nothing to do, no sense of joy or of danger, just joy, peacefulness, and knowing that that's how things truly are at times. I thought I was always in this kind of space while meditating too, but no, this time was absolute certitude. Funny thing is, it's happened when I was cycling back home from work. Laugh out loud. About 15 years ago, I entered a state that I was completely connected to the universe for about a week. It was a high that was hard to come down from, and it interfered with my work and studies at the time. I was a caveman in caveman time for, about 5 seconds. Then, poof, I was back on the couch. Laugh out loud. I met a very safe and comforting female figure once who enfolded me in her arms and just held me. It felt so comforting. Another time I was meditating on correctedness, think quantum physics, the fourth dimension, string theory, and I came across what could only be described as a ghost in the machine. It was really intense. First time in a Tibetan singing bowl ceremony meditation, I lost contact with my body as I was aware of everything and everyone in the room. It was blissful. At that point, I didn't have a lot of experience with meditation. Singing bowl meditation has since been my favorite kind. I had a free fall-like experience in Dr. Strange-esque fashion. Ended up being pushed into a mirror, kissing a reflection of myself. I still don't know what to make out of it, but I took it as a lesson about self-love. Been carrying that attitude ever since. I have seen a blue orb while in a deep state of awareness, followed by probably the strongest meditation after effects I've ever had. I had profoundly greater and more significant experiences on this than on the multiple 21-day silent retreats I've had done under the guidance of Arhat monks. Maybe not that strange, but for me, unique. When I meditated, I sensed someone approaching from greater distances. Then I opened my eyes. He was exactly where I guessed. I think that I would not meditate. I would not distinguish sounds of his approach from noise. That is an interesting question, and I am looking forward to seeing the other comments. I was someone else, and I was having sex with a woman. This is before my own first time having sex. It was intense, and I found myself shouting, "Akasha, Akasha," in this dreamlike scene. I have never consciously seen or heard this word. I looked it up on Google and found that in some beliefs this is a non-physical space where information about the past is stored. This was the moment I began being open to the idea that there could be a certain truth in what people call past lives, especially because I didn't know the word, and it was in my meditation associated with myself in an unknown body in a scene that I hadn't experienced in my own life. I have astral projected. I've met the shadow people and the machine elves. I was microdosing on LSD, so no hallucinations or color vividness, just a really present state of mind. As I was sitting on the floor to meditate, I closed my eyes and saw 3 blue monks, one to the right, one to the left, and the other one in front of me. They were forming a circle. They seemed quite glad that I showed up for the practice. I only saw them for half a second, but it felt so real. One time I started laughing out loud because I was feeling so relaxed. No LSD. Like it was the funniest thing ever. Was the bee or the animals in your yard actually where they were when you opened your eyes? They were not. The strange part was that my eyes were closed. I saw everything I would see with my eyes open, plus the animals. My strangest experience was not experiencing jack shit, especially after reading all these accounts of people becoming the universe and flying through space and comparing meditation to a psychedelic trip. To be fair, that happens to me 99% of the time. I felt something small with some weight to it stand on my head. I felt very calm, but was overcome by curiosity and reached out to touch it. It was soft and almost fluffy. My first thought was, did a bird or giant moth just stand on my head? But when I felt it leave, I opened my eyes to see nothing. I've had the same experience as you. I was just doing regular old, oh my goodness, I can't pronounce this, Anapanasati? Sati? And then suddenly I was seeing the wall in front of me with my eyes closed in total normal level of detail, but with some vignetting or very light mist in between us. Focused on a part of the texture to test it, opened my eyes, and it was exactly the same. It was very interesting. I have this feeling where I can feel myself and my body as separate entities. It's a disconnect I absolutely enjoy. Move your energy to the root pump and watch your entire life transform. I don't know what that means. I had an out-of-body experience one time that brought the realization of the oneness that permeates everything, aka dependent organization. Just doing breathing, Zanen, is nature. I once had a disconnect where I felt myself dissolve into everything. I was gone, and everything was one. Then I could see myself as a body of light floating in the space of lights. All in one, all energy. My body of light was just a part of that energy of everything. Then I felt the pleasure of the body ripples of immense pleasure washing through me. I felt the waves of energy as it moved in the universe in a wave of pleasure. Every atom movement towards its positive attraction or flow in the universe as its desired path and pleasure. A hydrogen atom joining 2 oxygen to become a raindrop. A leaf feeling the drop as it rains, the power of the sun. It all felt as one, and I felt it as pleasure run through my body. I shook, convulsed, and moaned in the ecstasy of the flow of energy and matter of the universe. A cosmic orgasm that went on and on. Awakening moments after an hour sit. In 2013, I was in a restorative yoga class and afterwards stayed for a guided meditation just for the what the heck. I was listening to the teacher talking and suddenly had a very intense and vivid vision of a green field with a large gray rock in the middle. It was flat. It seemed real and like I was there. Time slowed down and I could hear the teacher talking, but it sounded garbled. I shared with the class afterward, and the teacher just said, "Sometimes things like that happen. It doesn't really mean anything particular." I'm a frequent meditator, and nothing similar has ever happened again. I'd like it to. I still remember it perfectly. It was definitely not a dream, at least not a sleeping one. I definitely wasn't asleep, nor was I in any particular deep or sort of trance or zoned out. It just happened. I've had the tip of my nose poked a few times. I've also been tickled a few times. I live alone, and neither of these times as happened did I feel afraid. Whatever it was playful. First time learning how to meditate in a class in Sedona. Arrived early, so I'm the only one there, and there was this instructor guy. He tells me he learned to meditate because he was molested by his dad. I was hungover as hell, and it was 7 in the morning, and only 2 minutes into meeting him, I learned that. It was definitely strange. I met myself, like a full avatar of me in front of me, and I tried to have a conversation with him. But he was silent, and in his silence I would speak with the answers, and he would just nod. I came out enlightened and realized that I had all the answers inside me the whole time. It was weird, but satisfying. Best experiences I've had were repeating the mantra Baba Nam Kevalam, meaning infinite love is all there is. You literally can feel the infinite consciousness sometimes, the love and the bliss. When I look in the mirror after an especially powerful meditation of this kind, my eyes are filled with light, and it's very interesting. These experiences are extremely hard to describe with words. I also oftentimes get erections, laugh out loud, but I'm not aroused. Apparently, according to Taoist traditions, there is a sign of your Jing being filled. Jing, essence, is one of the three treasures included in Qi, Kai, vitality, energy, or breath, and then Shin, spirit, soul, and God. Just my personal experiences. I found nothing. I met my childhood self and witnessed a full conversation I was having with her, but no control over. I also had the seeing with eyes and closed experiences. Everything was in muted color, almost black and white and a little bit misty. As soon as I realized what was happening, I got excited and ruined it. While I was laying on my bed, I focused on my breath and being present as well as trying to bring back my focus. This happened maybe a week or two when I started meditations. For the first time I noticed the process of falling asleep. For a very short period I heard distant voices and whispers. It scared me fully awake. It didn't help that I lived completely alone at the time. It was probably the very first time I transcended, for lack of a better word. I was maybe 17 and had only been meditating or trying it for about a week. I felt like my mind exploded and the boundaries between my body and space no longer existed. It felt like I was experiencing the universe all at once, and a rush of energy was flowing through me. I've been meditating on and off for years now, and sometimes I get in a zen-like state, but never as intense as that first time. I was staring at a yellow Christmas ornament, and it felt like I was warped into its own world from the reflection in the ball. A world filled with just strange, persistent gray noise and mostly dead silence. The world was a dreamlike, liminal space feeling, and had a hollow abyss feel to it. The sensation that my arms were a mile long and hands forever away, with my arms made mostly of space. My daughter said that I was in a big empty space that kept getting bigger whenever I moved. I had never seen such a place in my meditation, but I instantly recognized it. I have been there, but I hadn't seen. I heard it. Well before Stranger Things was a thing, I definitely went into what seemed like an upside down, just not so terrifying. I was definitely scared and preferred not to go back, but the imagery was eerily similar. I came back from a spiritual retreat in Sedona. I had eaten half of a lotus in a yoga class, and then I watched myself in live time from somewhere near the ceiling. I watched my body sitting and breathing from above. I could see without eyeballs, and could not feel a heart beating or breathing lungs. I realized this must be my soul, and my body is only temporary. Now how the F do I get back? I came back naturally after a few minutes, but it never happened again. I saw white smoke coming out of my toes and hands. It looked exactly like when you blow out a candle and the white-gray smoke that trails afterwards, but coming out of my toes and fingers, although it is more faint and transparenty. It was a pretty cool experience. It happened one more time after that, but never again. Maybe because I've never been in that deep meditative state again. This happened in 2019 when I was a college student, but also I didn't do drugs at all, so I'm not sure how it happened. I literally feel like I fell but into a deeper level, but it was a strange feeling that I've never experienced again. For first thing that comes to mind when I was in my 20s, I was in a group meditation and met my future self walking along the beach. She was 10 years older than me, and I could feel how much she loved me. In waking life, when I eventually passed the age of future me, I felt a real loss of a guide. Another time, I was in deep meditation when I felt a good vomit coming on. Is that a thing? It is now. And I opened my mouth, and a long, heavy snake languidly slithered out of my mouth and onto the floor in front of me, then looked at me expectantly. I've seen faces pop into my head that I swear I've never seen before, and will seem so close to my face that it is the person in front, and it's always a bit jarring. In a singing bowls meditation, I've seen vivid colors with my eyes closed. Sometimes, when laying in bed in a relaxed state, I can see people as if I'm viewing them on a TV screen. except they were right there in front of my closed eyes. Not sure what it's all about. Today, after a 30-minute sitting meditation, when I opened my eyes and looked around the room, colors seemed astonishingly bright and more vivid. These type of things don't always happen, but it is very cool when they do. I experienced flying over complete euphoria, a sense of peace and tranquility without any indulgence, sex, alcohol, drugs, or for many, many years. When I used to regularly meditate, I decided to look up a chakra cleansing audio meditation on YouTube. I laid there with my eyes closed, and when I hit play, it was a frequency along with some very rushed water or waterfall type sound. I immediately felt a turbulence in my lower abdomen, as if it were a tight wheel spinning inside of me. I could make this turbulence travel higher throughout my body, and sometimes it would be stronger or weaker. I figured these were literally my chakras, otherwise the energy moving throughout my body, and that of the YouTube video seemed to unlock or pinpoint it. I've actually been able to feel it again as well. If anyone has any similar experiences or can tell me what exactly it is, I would love to hear your thoughts. I met mechanical elves during a sensory deprivation experience. I don't know what mechanical elves are, but okay. One time I was sitting on my bed in the second floor facing the wall. Suddenly I spun out of my body through the wall and neighbor's house into the bright sunlight. I could see a dog in the yard looking up at me, and I rolled over and looked up at the clouds, and then it was over and I was back inside myself. This only happened to me once, but it's been close to 12 years since, and it has stuck with me as clear as day. I was meditating on the back of my deck in a houseboat, and all was normal until I started to see and sense what appeared to be little slips of paper or wisps of light coming down from above and onto my head. It was a very pleasant feeling, and I sensed that these wisps contained the answers to questions I would have. I couldn't access any information from them at the time, and it was a very strange experience that I came out of with the experience for a second to check on myself. I went back to meditating, and the information continued. The slips of paper or wisps of light soon stopped. I stopped meditating, and that was what was left with a happy, warm feeling. I never had anything like that again happen, even though I've tried. Once I was meditating, high on weed, in a metro ride standing when I started to communicate with something. Until this day, I still don't know if it was my higher self, like I divided my consciousness, or something external. It explained stuff that I asked, like dimensions. Before I opened my eyes, it told me I wouldn't be able to reconnect with him if I did open them during what was left from the ride, and so it happened. In my experience, when I try to connect with other dimensions or to mystical aspects, I start to feel new sensations beyond words, and it's really nice. I came here to tell everyone my experiences yesterday while meditating. I had meditated daily for 20 minutes for over 11 years. My goal has always been stillness, pure consciousness. I don't know what happened, and it was nothing that did happen. I don't have any reference at all. Nothing happened to my body, emotions, or sensations, but something happened. Deep, deep nothing. The nothing is fulfilling. I only feel a knowledge that something happened, a strong feeling how to be grounded, more focused, a feeling of knowing, a feeling of confidence. I don't know what it is, just that everyone experiences all the time, but once I had a certain point of meditation, I usually either get the sensation of floating above the ground or of waves of energy gently pushing me to the side, which is both absolutely great. Once, when I was meditating in a forest, that was even when I felt energy pulsing through the ground and the trees, and I just had to open my eyes and touch the world around me because it was so beautiful. Well, there you go. Like I said, I don't meditate, but I've heard there's lots of benefits to it. So if you do, drop a comment, tell me why you do, or how you do, or if you've had some strange experiences, good, bad, otherwise. Otherwise, thank you for listening and watching this video. I really do appreciate it. And go check out another video. There's plenty here, and we'll see you next time. Bye.